Good evening, everyone. I forgot to play my music tonight with my opening. I got to figure out how to do it automatically without having to click on it. But it's the way it goes sometimes on live TV, live podcasts, vodcasts. But hope everyone's doing well. We're finally going to get our first freeze here in Colorado in the next couple days, which is actually kind of late for us. So I don't know if we're looking forward to it or not, but we sure could use some moisture though. It's really dry here, so. But anyway, enough about what's going on with me. I've got my guest tonight. He's from South Carolina, and we're going to bring him up on the screen here. Bjorn Leesson. How you
How you
doing,
doing?
sir?
Very good, very good. Now you're talking about cold weather in South Carolina. We get maybe 6 days of cold weather, and that's it. It's back to hot again.
Well, you sometimes get ice storms, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Those 6 days sometimes are pretty rough.
Oh yeah, ice
Every
storms.
once in a while we'll get some snow, which for us, snow if it's 17 flakes, that's snow for us. When ice storms we've gotten, oh yeah, our biggest thing's hurricanes. That's what we got to look out for.
Are you fairly close to the coast?
I'm not. I'm 200 or 150 miles, I think, from the coast, something like that. But
But the hurricanes still come
hurricanes,
ashore, and you get a lot of rain from the
I was to say
outer
they're
bands and stuff.
big, so if they
Yeah.
hit, we everyone gets a little bit.
Are you in a floodplain where that's a problem?
Not so much, not so much. We're in the sand hills, the foothills here, so it's
A little higher.
not too. Yeah, it's not too bad on that. Now, when I lived in the Low Country, where I was born and raised, near around Charleston,
Yeah.
if it typical afternoon thunderstorm, it flooded. So that it was, yeah, it's not real conducive to live life down there for water.
Yeah, well, we could use some rain here. We had a pretty wet spring, but the summer's been horrible, and then there was like no rain or anything in the forecast, and we're brutally dry. And I'm always concerned about that dumb person who's throwing a cigarette out a window or something,
Oh yeah,
starting a
is
bad grass fire, and they
is
spread fast here, especially because when it's windy.
is it typically drier than not dry in Colorado?
Oh
I've
yeah, it's
never been
really
there.
this is a I think we're considered to be semi-arid.
Mm,
You know,
almost desert.
yeah, 10 to 15 inches of moisture a year. I mean, we get most of the mountains get a lot of snow
Hmm.
up there, and that's where most of our water comes from the runoff on the snow. And if they don't get a lot of snow, our reservoirs are struggling. And
Right.
it's really
That's
important that the ski resorts, of course, have to have snow, though some of them make their own snow.
yeah. I saw a show about that. They have machines that make it.
Yeah, which of course uses water out
Mm,
of those same reservoirs, and I mean, chicken egg thing, I guess. You need the water to make the snow, and the snow needs to melt to make the water. But yeah, that's all that stuff. But enough about the weather. Good to meet you here. I was not familiar with your work, so tell us a little about yourself. Anything important? The personal stuff.
no, I'm pretty much the most boring guy you'll ever meet. I work in manufacturing, my real job that I feed myself with.
Yeah.
Uh, hobbies though, shoot, I everything in the world interests me. I think if something piques my interest, I start researching it. So that's where a lot of the background for the stories that I write comes from. Is just years and years and years of being interested in everything. But history is my favorite. Oh boy, I love history. The Viking Age and Civil War era, Roman. I mean, pretty much just about any era of history I have looked at to some degree, some in depth and some not. But it all makes it into my stories. Then you throw in the supernatural. I always liked researching paranormal stuff, just about anything, even all the way including flags, vexillology, the construction of flags.
So you
So,
watch like Ghost Hunters and those type of shows, all the different
oh, I have,
paranormal
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I have in the past. It's gotten so when it first started, it was more kind of a real look at actually taking the scientific method and applying it to it. But as it went along, it became over the top sensationalized
Sure.
entertainment, so it kind of lost my interest at that point.
It's kind of like the term reality TV. I hate that term because everything is different when a camera's on people.
Oh, absolutely. There's
They
no
all act
reality.
Yeah, they all
It's
act
all a
different.
show.
They don't want anybody boring on the show, right? They want
Well, of
something
course.
exciting and thrilling and stuff. So of course you're going to act out, or you're not going to be on the show. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. Normal, regular, boring people like me would never make it. Be out on the first episode.
you said you're worked in manufacturing all your life. What different types of manufacturing have you done?
Metal reclamation, mostly recycling metals, aluminum, copper, things like that. Getting it out of, getting it recovered from whatever scrap it comes, whatever form of scrap it comes in, and then we break it down into its base metal and sell it again to be made into something else. So it's recycling more or less, but on a bigger scale with machines.
Well, aluminum, you can pretty much. I mean, it's pretty much you just keep recycling it, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's one of those things where you hate it when people throw the cans away in the landfill
right.
because it can be just you. And
Well, the unique thing is copper. Copper has the most. It has the highest percentage of reclaiming, or least melt loss when you melt it down to make it into something. So it's very conductive. It's got medicinal purposes. There's a lot of uses for copper. A lot of good things about copper. And if you watch the news, I mean, most people don't type tell me about copper on the internet or anything. But if you look at the news on some of them, the mining of copper is becoming a problem because all the easily accessible copper's gone.
right.
It's much more expensive to find what's the raw copper that's left. So reclaiming the copper and recycling it is going to be extremely important in the near future.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of shortages of copper, right? And of course, we
Mm-hmm.
need it for electrical wiring and all. It's very very important. So yeah, re- recycle your copper, please.
That's right. Just don't steal it from your neighbor's house.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like we have a light rail here, and a large section of overhead. It's overhead light rail, so the lines are up high. Was stolen from a large section. I'm thinking, wow, they actually got up there and stole all that. But how much is that wire worth, possibly, to turn in somewhere? Right? I mean, I'm sure
Right.
there's some value to it.
There is, but you got to be desperate, like breaking into an electrical substation to steal the copper. People. It's not the smartest thing you can do.
So you mentioned some hobbies. What are some of the other? What are some of the hobbies that you enjoy that kind of inspires you?
Since we moved up here, my big thing's been the little hobby farm we have. So we have goats and chickens and gooney bird. I call them gooney birds or guinea hens. We did have turkeys, pigs, donkeys. Just kind of a big old petting zoo, and we were trying to plant some crops, but we haven't. My wife and I, we haven't quite figured that out yet. We're not. We have a little bit of a black thumb, so we're still working on that portion. But just having fun with the animals, building little pens for them, just feeding them, walking them around. It's just fun to have them. They're entertaining. I had dogs and cats growing up, but we didn't have farm animals, so this is new.
So which of those farm animals is the pain in the rump to deal with, and which is the easiest one to deal with?
Well, when we had everything before we, started rehoming some of them, was the donkey. We had two donkeys, a mini donkey and a other one that was supposed to be a mini donkey, but she ended up being pretty much full size donkey. Little guy was pretty amiable. He was a good little fella. He thought he was a goat. He'd follow the goats around. He thought he was a goat. But the other one, the larger female, she was ornery, like a donkey would be. Right? That's what they always say.
Right, right, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, all of them are fun. They're all fun and strangely goofy in their own way. So it's been entertaining.
So the smaller donkey that thought he was a goat, did he eat everything like a goat? I mean, goats always have that, you know, if it's in front of them and they think they can eat it, they'll try to eat it. Did he try to do that as well?
No, no.
No.
People say that about goats, but I've learned with ours, they're far pickier. At least ours are far
Yeah.
pickier than goat reputation would have you believe. They only want certain kinds of hay. We bought a horse grade hay, which is supposed to be the best hay you can buy for livestock. They didn't want it. They wanted the stuff from Tractor Supply.
So they wanted
So
what, a lower grade
yeah,
hay?
yeah, they wanted less. You know, yeah, they, uh,
Good
yeah,
for you. It's
they,
cheaper, I guess, right?
oh yeah, they're picky about what they eat. Now they do eat goofy stuff. Like if you find a piece of plastic banding, they'll eat that, which makes no sense. But they won't eat the quality hay. They're like dogs, but I guess mentally challenged dogs.
So you called it a hobby farm. Does that mean that you let people come in to pet the animals and things like that in any way?
Nah, we talked about doing that. We talked about actually having like a little petting zoo and kind of like a little classes on how to do things on a farm, but just life got too busy. We never did, but that was the idea. Now they're just for us.
So on your website, I was reading a little bit, and you were talking about that everything fascinates you
Absolutely.
to a degree that you're too easily entertained. So, like, tell us what that's about.
Well, actually, I could give you an example. I watched the movie Titanic, which most people did. And I knew a little bit about the story of the Titanic, but after watching the movie, I really started digging into the actual history of the Titanic, and I started writing little sub stories based off that story. And I won't give too much away, but some of that Titanic history made it into my books as well. So it just anything pops up if it has any kind of little air of mystery about it to me, I start looking at it. And that made some really, really good fertilizer for my stories my overall series, because there truly is a little bit of everything in that Thalsparr series. Outside the Thalsparr series, there's just about every genre is in it in some way, shape, or form, and it covers tons of different themes, dozens of characters, and they're all unique and quirky and weird in their own way. And just my fascination with everything is what fed all that, because I have met a lot of interesting people in my years working in industry, and a little bit of those characters have made it into the characters in the book. So it was just fantastic fodder for writing stories.
So when you're watching something or you're entertained, so you're seeing that, and your mind is immediately going to, this could be a story, or this could
Oh
be
yeah,
something, right?
absolutely.
Are you immediately writing down notes, or are you
No,
like running upstairs on the computer, or you have the laptop with you and you start typing away?
no. It's just all mental work. It just starts bouncing around in this little pea brain I've got here, and then eventually it's kind of like a snowball. Eventually, it rolls enough times that something starts building around it. And but as soon as I have enough that I can visually see the story happening, that's when I sit down and start kind of laying out the outline. And then as I've written, though, over time, as I've written creative writing, I went from strictly outline, where I do not deviate from the outline, to the major portions of the book. Yes, I outline them, and then the rest is all organic. They write themselves. Eventually, you just turn it loose. I just hand the keyboard to the characters and say, "Okay, show me what you got." As long as you stay within this boundary here, you're good. And that's typically how it goes. And
Oh,
they
come
do
on now,
want to push out.
your characters every now and then want to go outside that
Oh,
boundary. Sure.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt. And that usually ends up being another book.
So how long have you been writing, and what motivated you to be an author? I mean, I'm assuming you like to read all your life, but give us a little bit about that. What inspired you?
Interestingly, uh, I've always dabbled with creative writing, be it poetry, short stories, fiction, fantasy, but the majority of my writing was technical writing. I would write procedures and SOPs and things for work. That was where most of my writing was. I did write some nonfiction history pieces here and there for publication in various like small publications, early in my life. Uh, it was only in the last year and a half or 2 years, sorry, 2.5 years, that I really, really latched on to this fantasy fiction writing. This is where I really sat down and really made a go of it. Mariel, who's the protagonist in the main series I've written, Outside the Thalsparr, started with a short story idea. I was just going to do a little short story based on some archaeological evidence that popped up about Norse female warriors, and it drew my attention. Like, okay, that's unusual. You always picture the Viking as a big, brutish male with blonde hair and a beard, but this was exactly the opposite. So I started drafting out this character named Mariel that was a female Norse warrior, and I kept adding things to her character. She was going to be quirky, and then she had these little personality quirks that made her unique. Then I made her. I didn't want her to look like a Viking, so she became half Norse and half Moor. So she was half Northern African. And if you follow the more up to date information about the Norse culture during the Viking Age, it was very possible because there was a lot of cross culture, cultural crossing amongst the Norse more so than we thought. So the idea that could happen, having a female that in the Norse society that is half Moor was very, very probable or very plausible. So I added that in. Then I took the hard dive into the supernatural. I said, okay, we've gotten this far. Let's go ahead and throw in some supernatural. So then now she has this a strange supernatural power within her that's half dark and half light. So she has both sides of the universe fighting within her, and she has to learn how to control it for this grand destiny that she finds out about. So it just snowballed and grew and went from a short story to 8 novels.
Wow. So you said you wrote technical
Mm-hmm.
works. So obviously that's a lot different than writing fiction.
Oh yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of
What?
step by step by step, and
Not a lot of creativity. No, it was
yeah,
pretty cut and dry. So when I first dipped my toe and really made it go at Mariel's story, I was hooked. I mean, I don't. It'd be hard to go back to technical writing now. It'd be too boring.
you throw a little excitement in between all those steps, right?
They have to find some put in there. I don't think the job would appreciate it, but they'll get over it.
So who are some authors that you enjoyed reading that kind of inspired you, or was this something that just kind of came out of the blue and really just like I think I'm just going to start writing this?
It actually did kind of just come out of the blue. Now that I do write, I do read some, but and I know it sounds strange for an author to say he doesn't really read a lot of books, but I don't. I do a lot of research. I read a lot of nonfiction and research type material. But as far as creative writing, there are a few. I do like George R. R. Martin. I did like his. I
Awesome.
liked his books a lot better than the movie or the TV series. The TV series was good, but the books were better, and it
Yeah.
seems to be the pattern. When I compare something I read with what I've seen on TV, I always seem to like the book better. Sahara by Clive Cussler, another one that I really liked the book better than the movie, but the movie was still good.
Yes.
But as far as anything that's specifically inspired the book series I've written, I guess you could say Game of Thrones and the TV show Vikings with Travis Flamel. They definitely worked their way in there a little bit, but as far as heavily influencing, no, I think it was just a mosh of everything I had bouncing around in my head from years of research.
So when you write, do you find it therapeutic for you when you're sitting down and writing?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's true of most authors. It's kind of an escape, that life is stressful in most cases, and to go into this world where you could kind of direct everything and find resolutions, yeah, it's kind of an escape. It's a nice thing to have to help decompress a little bit. The only stressful part of it for me is the marketing side, which
Yeah.
that's pretty much every author, I think. I'm not a marketer. I have to depend on Mickey for that, Mickey and Amy.
Yeah.
But no, the actual writing, it's great. There is no bad part of it for me. Even when I get some reviews here and there that where they're not, they don't love it as much as I do. It's still feedback, and someone still read it, so I'm tickled pink. So even if someone else doesn't see it the same way I do, fine with me. It's just what was in my head, and I want to put it on paper.
Yeah, that is good. The therapeutic part of it, I think, for every author is. Do any of the animals that you have ever make it into any of your books?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Characters?
I had my favorite dog I call her the best dog in the world. She was to me, Roxy. She was a good dog. Unfortunately, we had to put her down early. She was only 4, so
Oh,
I was writing book 2, the second book, Rune of Renewal, when this happened. And so I created a character just for her named Rosker, the little tan puppy. So she she showed up in the book. She's Mariel's companion through parts of the story. So and she still has a future because there's spinoffs where Rosker will show up again. So that was one way. And then I had some goats and chickens and scattered
yeah.
throughout the Norse settlement, which is agrarian. So there's a lot of farming going on. So there's lots of goats and chicken mentions. Yeah, it made it in there for sure.
Did you give your dog some special magical powers of any kind?
Nah, just being awesome. That's her
Just,
magical power. Just being
just
awesome,
being awesome.
just like the real one.
Well, that's good. It's always fun to bring them to life. So, all right. So we talked a little bit about your books. Right now, it's a 6 book series,
Hmm.
and it's you were telling me historical fiction fantasy is kind of the genre area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the best description is historical fiction fantasy, but it
Yeah.
does dip into a lot of things: psychological thriller, crime, historical crime, everything. There's a little bit of everything in it, but that's a good blanket. I think that's a good umbrella category.
Did you find it difficult to find a category you felt that fit? Because
Oh
that's
yeah,
always the challenge is your target audience. You want them to be able to find the book, but
I didn't make that easy, and that's on me.
yeah, no,
I didn't stay in the lines. I didn't stay in the mold. I didn't stay in the box. When I first presented the first book to my editor Andrea, she liked it. That's not her typical read. She likes more like memoir thing like that. Things like that. But she did take the job, and she did love the story. And I asked her after I think the third book, I finally said this before I started really trying to push to publish any of it. I just wanted to edit it, make it pretty, and decide what I want to do with it. But I asked her what is this even classified, and she struggled to give an answer. I finally just started doing some research, and I think it got a review from I don't remember who. Somebody reviewed it first, and that's what they classified it as. So I said, "Okay, sounds good to me. We'll call it historical fiction fantasy. Perfect." But it really is a mashup. It one hell of a blend of genres,
yeah.
and it does
So
make specific targeting, marketing difficult. That makes Vicky's job hard.
well, and yeah, and Amazon, you can only put it in so many categories. I mean, you
Yeah.
can do some things to try to get around that with keywords and things like that, but
Hmm.
those main categories are what usually show up in
Yeah,
your ranking.
Amazon. It's a great vehicle for indie authors. It's a great vehicle, but it you kind of have to stay in the line, stay provide to make the most impact. And if you start messing with that process, then it kind of hurts your chances a little bit. But like I said, I wanted to write what I wanted to write, so that's what came out.
Well,
If it
yeah.
makes it a challenge, if it makes it more of a challenge, so be it. But that's what I wanted to write.
Well, and that's good. I like that. So here was book one. So how long did it take you to come up with this idea, and how long did it take you to write this first book?
The first book took the longest because I fought myself the whole time. This is back to the structured outline that I could not vary from the outline if it was like a very small, narrow lane that I'm driving my car on. If I did my wheels off the side, I got to stop and start over. So it took a little while. I was fighting myself the whole time. But as I wrote more of these, I started loosening up and just letting the story unfold organically. But this includes all the formative stuff around Mariel too. So this one took about 8 months to fully realize before I gave it to an editor to, Andrea to check it out and tell me what I screwed up on. um, but after that, as the process got easier for me, I started shooting them out about 4 months. So they started rapid firing after that.
And are they fairly long books?
Right? Yeah, they average about 105 words each. I think 105,000 words each, somewhere in that category.
Relatively long. So so give us a little bit about the first book and some of the characters, and obviously, it looks like I said, it looks like the Vikings, the Norse, whatever. You got their little ship there. I would call it a ship.
Yeah, Drakkar is that Drakkar or Nor is what they called them. But yeah, that's the Viking style ship. Now, keep in mind the series as a whole. The series takes place over 1,200 years, so this is not a small time frame. It's but it starts with Mariel's birth in 800s Scandinavia, and like I mentioned earlier, she was very unusual in a lot of ways. She looked different because she was dark skin, black hair. She didn't fit in with the Norse paradigm of what a Viking should look like. She was female, but very clever, but impulsive and very quirky. She had just strange quirks, like she liked to eat round food and she doesn't like odd numbers. Just weird little things about her, little personality quirks.
Female monk, huh?
Yeah, kind of in a way,
Yeah.
not quite that extreme, but yeah. But as she grows up, she realizes she has a power within her that can be very destructive or beneficial, and it's hard to control. Her mother believes it's from the gods, and it's kind of a curse and a blessing. But she believes she has to keep her secret. So she grows up a sheltered life, doesn't get out much. But even at that, her personality, she just really endears herself to people, even with that seclusion that she grew up in. But she ends up in battle with her father. Her father trained her as a warrior. He was a warrior. They end up raiding in the Baltics, the Slavic lands, or the Baltic lands, Estonia and whatnot. And that's where she really finds out how destructive this power can be. It gets her into some trouble, and it devastates her really because it's deadly. I mean, she really kills some people with this power and can't control it. So she struggles through this book, learning how to control this power and trying to keep it subdued. And unfortunately, it led to her figuring out alcohol helped her do that. So she, more or less became an alcoholic to keep it under control. But she suffers a lot of trauma and everything, and some things happen. I don't want to give it away, but a lot of things happen in Scandinavia, and she leaves. She goes to a new settlement that they're starting in Saxon lands, which is modern day England. The Saxons have been raided by the Norse, so they struck a deal where they allowed settlements on their fertile land if the Norse would stop raiding them. And this is part of true history. This really did happen. It's a little bit not quite to the time frame I have in my books, but it is based on fact. But she goes there and she winds up becoming the Jarl. She winds up becoming the leader of this settlement, and she meets her friend Ingrid. Ingrid Stone Splitter is another female warrior, but she is very Norse, but she is also enormous. She's 6'6" and has muscle of two men. She's just a very, very imposing figure. And they strike it, they're almost opposites. Ingrid's very militaristic and structured, and Mariel's not. She's the opposite. And they become great friends. But unfortunately, the story ends in tragedy with the settlement there, which I don't want to give too much about that away, but it ends up propelling Mariel into the future. She ends up in 1891 Montana, and there's reasons for that I won't say, but she ends up meeting her descendants. She meets her 38th and 39th great grandchildren, and through visions and omens and things, some of her grandchildren, her descendants, are aware of her power and aware of her destiny, which is to save the world from the dark in the end. So she ends up tagging along. She ends up meeting up with uh, 5 or 6 of these descendants of hers, and they go on this great adventure in Montana until she faces off with a dark foe, and she defeats them, but she ends up being killed again, and ends up in the beginning of book 2, which is World War II era. So there's a lot of time travel involved with this, but it's a very long complicated, interwoven story. Uh, Book 3, she meets more of her descendants, and she does complete her destiny. So that completes Mariel's main arc, is the books 1, 2, and 3, and then after that, we expand the story into the supporting characters. So it just goes on and on. But all of it interconnects with Mariel's destiny. So all these characters interconnect. Just about every scene and every line in the book connects to something else. It might be 5 books later, but all of it is just an intricately woven story that's really was fun to write, and I think it's fun to read.
So it sounds like, for a reader, you want to start with book one. You shouldn't be starting in the middle. It sounds like it.
Yeah, some of them could be standalone, but you will miss a lot of the detail and a lot of the character interactions with other characters that are no longer around. So yeah, definitely start with one. I would say you get the most story out of it if you start with the first book and just read in order.
And are there like cliffhangers in each at the end of each book that kind of leads into the next book? They sound like they maybe a
Uh,
little bit of that.
Really, two. There's two between book 2 and 3. Definitely, you definitely have to read 2 to get 3. You know, to go straight into the next story. 6 and 7, which are six, Rune of Spirits was just released. The direct continuation of that one is Rune of Building, and that'll be coming out early next year. But that one also is the same. It focuses on Josephine, who's a supporting character. She was in book 1 briefly, and this is something I love to do in this story. Is I'll take what seems to be a minor character later, and poof, they have this enormous part to play in all this that no one knew about until you read this book. But
Right.
that's kind of how she came up. She's instrumental in Mariel being successful. She doesn't exist at the same time as Mariel for a vast majority of the story, but her part is absolutely integral. If she did not do what she did, Mariel would not have succeeded, and the world would have been overtaken by darkness and destroyed. So fun stuff.
That would be bad, right?
Yeah, wouldn't be good.
So six, you said, just came out, and you have seven and eight coming
Mm-hmm.
next year. Have you already written those?
7's done and ready to go. It's just waiting on final release. 8, I wrote it, but I decided I wasn't satisfied with it yet because it will be the final installment of the main series. So I'm rewriting. It's still the same story. I'm just adding more to it. I'm making it more, little more depth and a little more density to it to make it a final proper farewell to the series. So it will be out next year as well.
So this sounds like a very intricate series. Obviously, so how do you keep track of all this? Do you have some of this stuff written down somewhere? You know, the links and all the care, or is it just all up here?
Uh, Mostly all up here, believe it or
Yeah.
not. And that's probably why I can't remember anything else in my life because I'm full of story. But no, it's the only thing I really have quote unquote written down is I do have a Excel spreadsheet that keeps track of timeline because there's a lot of interwoven years and events in different years that all weave together. So I have to keep track of that without introducing incontinuities and things like that. So I do have a spreadsheet that has events and times and dates and birth and death dates for characters and things, so I can keep all that straight. But otherwise, yeah, it's all just bounced around in his brain here.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like there's a lot of characters too to keep track of. You
There is
said
a lot. Yeah,
some and earlier becomes a bigger part later on, and
oh yeah, there's lots of characters. And the fun part was creating those characters. All of them are unique and different. Uh, and me and my editor were talking about it. If you didn't name them and you just read straight dialogue, they're so unique, even in their speech. You can kind of tell who it is, without even having a name attached to it. So that was the fun part, was making them that interesting and different, just like real life. I mean, you don't meet carbon copies of 20 people typically. Everybody's different, got little different ticks and quirks and different vernacular, just little things that make them stand out, make them different. And that's what I want to introduce in the story. So, and I did it with quite a few. So tried to make it resemble life as much as I could. and be a fantasy at the same time.
So when you're out there out and about and you see somebody with an interesting quirk, it's a possibility they're going to be a character in your book then.
Oh, that quirk will be in the book, definitely. If not the whole person, the quirk will be there. People are funny if you watch them. I mean, if you really watch people, there's a lot of interesting things about people that if you don't really pay attention, you might miss it. And it's fun to put those into stories.
So are you dedicated? Do you sit down and write every day?
Nearly most days, at least for an hour or two, I'll write something. Yeah, I'll add to because I do have like 5 books going at the same time, and I need to focus on the book eight. But I've been getting a little distracted here and there. I'll have it ready in time, but I have like 5 stories that I began and then stopped to move to something else just to kind of keep keep from burning out on one story, But then it just ends up making me busy with 5 stories, but it's still fun.
And that dedication of writing every day, and you're writing various other different stories at the time. Do you ever get confused and go, "Wait a minute here, which one am I writing today?" Did I ever
Amazing.
tell you, or you do a good job of keeping all that straight?
Amazingly, I have not done that yet. I'm waiting for it. It's going to happen eventually. I'm going to start writing. Like, wait a minute, this character's not even in this story, But yeah, it'll happen eventually. But so far, no, I have not done that yet.
So, are you traditionally published or self-published? How are you sitting? I saw.
I'm that indie author that didn't have patience with the traditional publishing route.
Sure.
I did try to do the agent, find the agent, submit and all, but it almost became a second job just to find the agent and just to get represented. And I finally said, I'm just gonna go with it on my own and see what happens. Now, of course, I did hire, Mickey and Amy to help me with the marketing and all, and I do have an editor because I did try to launch the first 2 on my own without any professional help, and that was a disaster.
Yeah. Sure.
So, sir, I certainly recommend an editor, even if you're really, 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 really good and you can do your own editing. You still probably should hire somebody to give it a second look because they're going to find stuff you missed. It's just the way it is. And you want top quality. If you're going to go indie, you better go top quality as much as you possibly can because you got a lot of competition.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't self-edit yourself. I'm sorry. I mean, people do it. Some people do it, but I just think
Yeah.
that's you're gonna miss things. And I mean, if you have dedicated fans, they're gonna point those things out too. So,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there will be somebody that will find anything you did wrong. It doesn't matter what
oh
it
yeah.
is.
Well, in the second book, this person was left-handed, not right-handed, or they had blue eyes and not brown eyes, or something like that,
Oh,
right?
oh
So,
yeah, they will find it. No
all those
doubt.
little things, hair color. You can say, well, they dyed their hair, right? So,
It's like, why did you put it in the book? Oh, okay, all right.
so you kind of told us you kind of were a plotter all the way, and now you're kind of in between. You kind of do a little pantsing, but you
Hmm.
kind of stick with it. So how does that process start? You start with that outline first before you really start to write, and then go from there.
Yeah, the crazy part is I still try to stay. Well, while I was writing the main series involving Mariel's, quest to save the world from the darkness, and all the things that fed into that, I I stayed within the framework of what the goal was, but usually it started with the idea of a character. A character specifically would form in my mind, and then I built how that character fit into the story after, if that makes sense the way I'm saying it. So the story outlines there. I just have to, the main arc is there. I just need to decide how this character affected the story. And I tried to make it just as interesting and just as impactful as the actual arc is. So it was great fun to do. But it usually did start with a character. I usually had an idea of a character in my head and just said, okay, what can this one do? What can this one do? And it worked out really good so far.
Great. So you've already kind of told us that a lot of your stories are based on real events. So you said historical stuff, and you've done
Mm-hmm.
research, and maybe it doesn't fit within the time exact time period, but you like to be at least somewhat factual. I'm assuming when it comes to
Yeah.
the things that you're doing.
Yeah, I do take a little bit of artistic license here and there, but I generally try to keep it very believable, at least, right? To keep it believable, I don't want it to be so outlandish. It just seems like 100% fantasy. I want it to be. I would like the reader to read the stories and actually think this could happen around them, like they're actually there and this is feasible. It's not outlandish, and that's part of the historical background is keeping all that straight. Now, yeah, I do get a little flexible with some of the dates, little the eras and things like that, but not meaning okay, this might be 10 years or even 20 years off from when this really happened, but it's not like someone drove a car through Rome.
Right.
Not that far off. You know what I mean? I try to keep it.
Ancient Rome, right?
Yeah, ancient Rome. Yeah,
Yeah.
not yeah. I should have said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to keep it believable and realistic, and that's what I shot for with this whole series, was to keep it as believable as you can, even while it's still a fantasy story.
So, are there places that you've traveled to that inspired some of these stories, or maybe you went to those locations to help with the story because you're going to include that location in there? Obviously, you can't go back to when the Vikings were there, but
No.
you have some modern time stuff in there as well. And
Yeah, I would like to say yes, but no. I've only left the country once in my life. Went to England years ago, and
yeah,
that did play some of my affinity with England in some of the story. It's not, of course, I didn't go to ancient England like you said, but I did go to England, and I did read a lot of stuff about it while I was there. But generally speaking, no, it's all been journeys of the mind, more or less. Most of the settings that I write about, I have never been to, unfortunately. One day, maybe, but not yet.
no time travel yet.
No, no, not yet. I haven't
Haven't
worked
figured
that one
that one
out.
out. So, is there you mentioned some other books you're working on? Is there a book you want to write that you haven't written yet that maybe is a little different, a different genre?
Oh,
Maybe nonfiction as opposed to fiction.
tons of stuff. One thing I'm working on now, I just set it up in YouTube now. I am trying to get my YouTube channel back active again. But I'm giving away a book, an audio book that a short story, a novella, a short, long short story, I guess, that I just wrote about. It's a Western, which is a little bit out of, I mean, there's Western elements in the main series I wrote, but this one's purely a Western, but with some other things added, psychological thriller, historical politics, things like that. But it's generally speaking, it's a Western. And that's a little bit outside of my zone. It's a lot grittier, raw, and a lot more adult themes in this one than I'm usually right. But it came out awesome. I was really happy with it. So I created it into an audiobook format broken into 20-minute sections. So if you go to my YouTube channel there, it's got 8 sections that will be released each Friday starting on December 5th. So each Friday you get another piece of the story. And I'm curious to see how that's going to go. And it's completely free. I'm not charging anything for it. It's just wanted to share it. I thought it came out awesome, and I wanted to see what people think about it. So
So, what time frame in the Western era?
this one takes place in 1883 in the Arizona Territory. So it's desert, raw frontier desert in 1883, 20 years after the Civil War ended, or
And who
around
does the
that time.
narration?
I did it through 11 Labs. It's an AI voice, but
Oh, okay.
it's and I made it British. There's a reason. When you read the story, there's a very one of the protagonists is a British an English gentleman in the West, and you can already kind of see in your mind how that might be working out. He's an aristocrat, so you can kind of see how this is going already. But it's great fun. There's a it's got a lot of humor. It's dark humor, admittedly, a lot of it, but it's got a lot of humor. It amazingly for such a short book, it's got a lot of stuff packed in it. I think people really like it. I think it's going to definitely be a favorite.
And you mentioned the short story. You also had your own podcast for a while, but it sounds like you're in the process of changing it up.
Hmm.
They can find that on the YouTube channel. What was the podcast about, or what is it going to be about going forward?
Actually, I was trying to do very something similar to what you're doing here. I was interviewing uh, authors, other authors, and editors. Just anything that had to do with writing, really.
Hmm.
And I had a couple that I got to speak with Marie Powell, who writes fantasy books, and she's a great lady, very smart woman that writes. She writes a lot of the same type material I do. It's historical fiction fantasy. I had a great talk with her. In another episode, I interviewed my editor, so we got to talk about the editor-author relationship, which is very important.
Sure.
And my intention was to keep going, but of course, life got in the way, ran out of time, didn't quite get in this one, so it kind of petered out. But I would like to try to institute it back. Maybe not as much trying to recruit. I still would like to interview guests, but I think I'm going to do more of the uh, just talking about my particular method of writing and what inspires me while I'm out there on the farm doing stuff with the animals. So it'll be kind of a the hobby farmer that writes stories show.
Yeah.
So it'll be something interesting. But that I do plan to keep the free book thing going. The first one's called Captain Alice. That's the one that's set in 1883 Arizona. I do plan to try to pump out more of those and keep that going, where there's always like some free material that you can take a peek into this crazy brain I have here and see what new story I got out there. With the idea that there is this great big, uh, lengthy and in-depth main series that's available on Amazon to buy. If you like what I write here, you're going to love this, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's really going to open up some doors with readers. I think to have these short stories out there for them.
So I always ask everybody this on the show. The name of the show is Bringing Life to Characters. You sound like you have a lot of quirky characters. So, and
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot of okay, that person there would make a good character type stuff. But what is it that you think that gets those characters to jump off the page that's going to keep people reading? What's your magic formula?
Oh, making them different. I make them as different as possible, and all of them have a little quirk. Nobody's. I don't think any of them's considered normal. Everyone's got a little bit of a quirk about them. Like I said, Ingrid's this huge woman, huge masculine woman, but she's very kind-hearted, which is ironic because she's a warrior trainer. She's looks like a wrestler basically, and but she's got a very kind heart, and she's a very emotional character. She has a whole book dedicated to her own journey. In book 4, Rune of Revenge is primarily focused on Ingrid, and she's a very very deep character too. It's you if you read it, knowing how what her background is, being this huge warrior, that her especially in her later years, and this most of her story happens in her later years when she's what you would consider elderly in the Viking age. But she just deep well of emotion and wisdom, as it turns out. Over time she finds her confidence because she's trying to live up to her father, Jarl Harold Stone Splitter, who was a famous Viking chieftain that before he was murdered, and she was trying to escape all that originally. Now she finds herself back in Scandinavia trying to reclaim her heritage. So it's a very interesting character. Lord Woldred, he's a Saxon lord in the same book and in book 5 as well, Rune of Spirit or Rune of Whispers. He's a Saxon lord, but he's playing this very intricate political game. And he's very brilliant, but he's very manipulative. But interestingly, as you read about him, you realize he is being manipulative, but it's not for personal gain. He's trying to advance the world as he sees it. He's trying to connect the world through trade, and he can see the benefits. And even at this time, he can see the benefits of the world being connected through trade and advancing the whole human race. But the way he's doing it is very of his time. It's very backstabby, political, backroom dealing, murder, things like that. So he's morally ambiguous, but he's trying to accomplish something good, and it does unfortunately backfire on them pretty in a very bad way. So um, then when you get into Mariel's story, she has this cast of descendants that are helping her. She's got keeping in mind this is 38 generations after Mariel lived originally when she had her children. So all of these descendants are 38 generations removed from her three children, well, two children that had more children. So what does that mean? If you're into genealogy, that means that there's a one hell of a pool of genetics involved here. She's got freed slaves, black slaves that are her descendants. Somewhere along the line there, her, and their ancestors were connected to Mariel. You got Native Americans. One of her most trusted allies is Greenfeather. She's a Sioux woman that is Mariel's descendant. The British, Welsh, you got all these backgrounds that are technically her grandchildren. So it's a neat study in genealogy as well. That's another great thing I like to look into. But
Yeah, create a family tree for your books, huh?
I did. It wasn't full. Obviously, I didn't detail 38 generations of each line, but yeah, I did have an idea of who came from who. Like Thilda's line was this, and her wife's line was this, and they're interconnected. Some of them are cousins to each other, as it turns out. Other, closer to their time than further back to Mariel's. But yeah, it was great fun. It's just tons of characters, and all of them are different. We got uh, Lisa Dawn. She's she's in the MMC. It's called the Merrill Mining Company, which it's more than just a mining company. It's a secret organization as well to help Mariel accomplish her goals. But she came from a Wild West show, so you got this kind of this gunslinger involved. It's just neat, interesting people. Then you've got more tragic characters. You got Maeve Lynch, the Black Irish. She was also a descendant, but things I won't, I don't want to give it away here. But in the story, her story in book 3, she's battling traumas of her own, and Mariel is the direct cause of some of those traumas, but not intentionally. And that's another twist in the story. But she's very bitter, very cynical about everything, pushes everybody away, doesn't want to get close to anybody. But this kind of goofy gunslinging woman named Lisa Dawn sneaks into her heart, and they become friends, and that kind of starts her transition away from cynical, bitter Maeve into more sociably tolerable Maeve. And she has a part to play. Her part is also very integral to Mariel's success as well. So yeah, I could go on for hours. Lots of characters, lots of fun.
So, what advice do you give aspiring authors who want to write books? Do you have any advice? You kind of went to it a little different than a lot of other people. It sounds like so, but and
Yeah,
I know you said the marketing side you hate, so we
yeah.
won't ask you that question. Any advice on marketing?
No, I definitely hired people for that. I'm not that guy. I'm not a salesman. I'm just not. But my opinion, or my I guess the best advice I could give. I'm still fairly new at this. It's only been a couple years, so I'm still kind of trudging through the swamp trying to figure this stuff out too. But definitely have a passion. Whatever you're writing, have a passion for it, because if you don't, the reader will see it. It's inevitable. If you're not really, really into what you're writing and really have a passion for it, it's going to show up in your work, and the readers will definitely find it. Just like you said about picking out the blue eyes instead of brown eyes sting earlier in the story. Yeah, same thing with the passion. If it's not there, they'll notice. But and if you start burning out, find something else to do to kind of build that passion back up, and then go back to it. But don't carry on burned out. It's kind of tough if you do it at a fast, especially if you're doing it kind of at a rapid pace. But yeah, maintain the passion. Don't let it go.
So, do you go and do any author events around the country of any kind?
I've done a few local ones, but I haven't made it very far from home.
Yeah.
And I need to start. I keep saying that, but I always find stuff that ends up keeping me here, the animals and whatnot. But eventually, yeah, I've got to. I do want to get out there in front of the readers. I do. I enjoy engaging the readers. It's fun, but it's just finding the time. That's the biggest thing. full-time job, animals and writing kind of takes up most of my day.
Well, yeah, that's a challenge. Obviously, a farm and a full time job and all that, and of course, it costs money too. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with your stuff, I think the Comic Cons, things like that, would be great fodder. Even better if you dressed up, right? Or have some, or bring somebody a model with you that dresses up, or whatever that's your character. But those type of events are for your books would I think certainly would be just getting into them sometimes, and they can be very expensive as well, depending on which
Yeah,
ones.
I did try. There's a couple large ones. There's the one in Charlotte, North Carolina, near us, and then there's the one in Columbia, South Carolina, that's near us. And I kind of dragged my feet, even though my lovely wife kept, "You need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do it." And I kept dragging my feet, and I ended up, yeah. I mean, some of them you have to sign up a year in advance or more
Oh
than
yeah.
a year in advance just to get a spot. So I learned my lesson from that, and I'm starting to be a little more proactive. But yeah, I definitely do plan to hit some of the Comic Cons, if for no other reason. It's just fun to see all the other people doing their thing. So
Well, yeah, and I've done a couple of Comic Cons, and yes, the cost people dressing up in costumes was as much fun. I didn't sell a ton of books. My books are thrillers and private eyes, which aren't really targeted for that group usually.
yeah,
But I enjoyed it. There were really long days, but getting to see everybody in costumes and taking pictures and all that of them as they're walking by, and those were great. And for me, the biggest thing was a lot of times I didn't even know who they were dressed up as,
right,
unless it
right.
was like a comic book, Marvel or one of those characters that I knew. But some of the fantasy stuff, I had no idea because that wasn't a world that I enjoyed. But yeah, I think that would be good. And yeah, you do have to sign up well in advance,
Hmm.
and they sell out fast. And the tables can be expensive, but if you can find somebody to share a table with,
Yep,
that
that's
can work
always
for
good.
you as well. So yeah, take that time. So okay, so we're coming basically to the end of the show. So where can people find you? I got your website here, which I think we finally got it correct after it wouldn't save the first few times. So
Yep, Thalspar.com. That's kind of the central hub for everything. A lot of the things I talk about, like the free book and all, I haven't gotten that on there yet, but the YouTube site is already, the YouTube channel is already set up. But that's kind of the hub. That's where you can find any of the freebies. You can find any information you want about the series. Oh, and I did forget to mention that in the Book Fest Awards, the Book Fest Awards, spring or fall 2025, I entered 4 books. I entered Rune of Rune of Destiny, Rune of Revenge, Rune of Whispers, and Rune of Spirits, and all of them were recognized with either bronze or silver. So that was a huge shot in the arm.
yeah,
Made me feel good. But yeah, that kind of stuff will be on the website as well, just kind of like the awards it's won and recognition and things like that. So it's a good place to start if you want to learn about the Thalspar.
and are you on social media in any way?
I do have a Facebook page I stay on pretty regular. It's just Bjorn Leesson. I mean, there's not many of us. If you type in Bjorn Leesson, you'll find me.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, YouTube. Like I say, I'm trying to get that reinvigorated. So Bjorn Leesson there as well for the channel.
Okay, great. And I think that was everything. Anything else you want to cover or say?
Nah, just thank you for having me. It was great fun talking. I love
No,
chatting about
yeah,
this
no.
stuff.
I always enjoy talking to different authors and hear about their journey. And yours was definitely a little different than a lot of the others, just being so new into it and
Oh yeah, yeah.
getting
That's
into it a little bit later in life. And
I definitely took the weedy path to get here.
yeah,
I didn't go down the normal road everyone else does.
you probably don't have any old manuscripts you wrote when you were in high school that are sitting in a file somewhere, right? That never
Oh,
will see the light of
and
day.
I wish I did, because there were some good. I did write some good ones in high school. I won some awards, of course, high school awards, but I did win some awards for writing in high school, and actually it was fiction writing, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it was. I wish I had them, because that would be a good time to really go through them and make them into a better story now. But I don't have them anymore. I don't remember half of it in my head. So
Well, there's not enough room up there anymore, right? You
no,
don't
no,
do any other.
I'm erasing gigabytes every minute.
So after book eight, is there going to be a new series other than the audiobook ones that you were talking about?
Actually, the main character in the last 6 and 7, Runa Spirits, Runa Building, is Josephine, and she's a she's a good guy theoretically, but she's a very very dark character, and a lot of moral ambiguity with her. But I do plan to start a series called Cameron, which will be about her in her father's criminal empire in New York during the 1860s. So during the Civil War era in New York, her father runs. He's part of the corrupt machine that runs the city at the time, and she's very rough individual in this story. But yeah, she'll have her own spinoff about that. And I'm considering the Captain Alice I just wrote. I'm considering uh, Alice Barnesby is carrying on her story into some more books. So there's lots of possibilities.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you being on the show. I don't know if we'll cross paths because different genres, but I
We'll see
enjoyed
each other
having you
again.
on and hearing your journey. And
I
best of luck.
appreciate you letting me ramble.
Yeah, no problem. That's we filled an hour, no problem. So that's good. So, well, thank you, sir. Take care,
Thank you.
and we'll maybe talk to you in circles later on.
No, I hope so. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. I just wanted to say today I actually finished the first draft of my next book. Mayhem in Music City is the title, and it's the next book 11 in the Jarvis Man Private Eye series. So now getting into the hard part, the editing and listening to the beta readers and rewrites and all that stuff. Still was hoping to get it out by the end of the year. I'm going to be pushing to get that's going to happen, but thanks for watching tonight. Next week we have on Monday again at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. It's going to be Linda Williams, and which I've not met, but I'm looking forward to talking to her, another author, and it'll be great hearing from her and hearing about her journey. So take care, everyone. We will see you next week.